let's do this one. Let's do this one. This is a great one. We are watching Audit The Audit, which is a YouTube channel that is dedicated to, like, going over cop dash cam and body cam footage to, like, look over wrongdoings or right doings, I guess. But mostly wrongdoings. So check this one out. This one is good cop gets bad cop fired and arrested. Bad boy, what you want?
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we...
Hold on, what did that say? My video should not be construed as legal advice. They are merely a presentation of facts as I understand them. I'm not an attorney, and you should seek the services of a legal professional if you believe you are a victim of police misconduct. The facts presented in my video are not indicative of my personal opinion, and I do not always agree with the outcome, people, or judgments of any interaction. Laws, case law, ordinances, policies, legal doctrine, and other jurisprudence is subject to interpretation of the court. Bruh. Subject to the interpretation of the courts. I'm not gonna lie. Jurisprudence fucking got me. I was like, what the fuck is that word? That's the first time I've seen that. The legal topics covered in Audit the Audit are designed to be educational, informative, and should not serve as legal advice under any circumstance. The contents of this video is in no way intended to provoke, incite, or shock the viewer. The video was created to educate citizens about constitutionally protected activities, law, and civilian rights, and emphasize the importance of constitutional awareness. So if you want to be a sovereign citizen, these are the first videos you should start watching. I'm joking. Don't do it. I need to clean
Welcome
my
to
fucking
Audit
bong.
the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers use of force, officer obstruction, and official misconduct, and is brought to us by Cameras Everywhere's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On July 26, 2021, Officer David Lance Dukes of the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety responded to a call regarding a man banging on a townhouse door, allegedly with a gun in his waistband. When he arrived on the scene, Officer Dukes immediately drew his gun and ordered 58-year-old disabled man Clarence Gaillard and his cousin Mario Julian, who were standing in the parking lot outside the townhouse, to the ground.
Hey, let me see your hands. Bert, get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground right here. Get on the ground. You, Burgundy shirt, get on the ground. Over here. On the ground. On the ground. Get on the ground. Do you not listen? Get on the ground.
Mr. Gaillard attempts to comply with Officer Dukes' orders by getting onto his hands and knees, but Officer Dukes forcefully uses his foot to attempt to force Mr. Gaillard all the way to the ground, causing his head to violently hit the pavement. In the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, the Supreme Court explained that the Fourth Amendment requires a police officer's use of force to be quote-unquote reasonable under the circumstances, and identified 3 factors that courts should consider when determining whether an instance of force was reasonable. These factors include, quote, the severity of the crime at issue, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others, and whether he is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. More recently, in the 2016 case of Armstrong versus Village of Pinehurst, the Fourth Circuit, which includes South Carolina, held that, quote, non-compliance with lawful orders justifies some use of force, but the level of justified force varies based on the risks posed by the resistance. Even purely passive resistance can support the use of some force, but the level of force an individual's resistance will support is dependent on the factual circumstances underlying that resistance. In this situation, the severity of the crime at issue was limited at best, although Officer Dukes claimed to believe that Mr. Gaillard had a gun at the beginning of the interaction. However, at the time Officer Dukes used force against Mr. Gaillard, it was clear that he did not pose an immediate threat, as he had raised both of his empty hands above his head before getting on his hands and knees.
Jesus.
Finally, Mr. Gaillard was not resisting arrest in any way. In fact, he was attempting to comply with Officer Dukes' commands when the force was employed. Under these circumstances, it is highly likely that a court would conclude that Officer Dukes' use of force against Mr. Gaillard was neither justified nor reasonable.
Is there a gun back there?
Bro, you see an old-ass black man, like, if just old-ass person in general, I'd be like, all right, let me talk to this dude. Let me see what's going on here. My first thought isn't like, I need to draw down. I need to draw down fast and hard.
By that truck.
No gun.
You're not listening, dude. You got a gun on you, man?
No, I ain't got no gun.
I'm just asking.
No
Man,
gun.
he was looking for that fucking gun, see? If there was a gun, then there's reason. It's reasonable. If there was a gun, but there's no gun. Ergo, it is not reasonable.
He had something.
The door's unlocked, it's not over, so.
No, he was right here. Watch him. Go watch him. There it is. Alright, that's what he had.
Look at that shit. Look. What? Like, okay, hold on, let me see. Where the fuck did you find that?
No, he was right here. Watch him. Go watch him. There it is.
What the fuck? What is that?
Alright, that's what he had.
That's what he had. Bruh, that just looks like some shit you found on the ground. Okay?
Alright, who's the complainant? Alright, get him up.
Man, you are looking.
25
See,
got one.
you hear the heavy breathing? He's looking for something so hard. He needs something. Because otherwise, it's an extreme use of force against an old man for no reason. Do you have a gun on you? Where's the gun? Oh, fuck, there's no gun. All right, you got something on you. You got something. So he's grabbing some random shit under the car, whatever he fucking drove over. Like, come on, bro.
One time.
Alright, put your leg that way so you can stand up.
Alright, listen, I'm about to help you. Hold on. Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3. Alright.
There we go.
Yep.
Listen.
Yep, they slammed my head
Listen.
down on the cement. Yep.
Go back inside. Go back in the house. Go back in the house. Ain't nobody talking to you.
I got head trauma.
Go back in the house.
Yep. Y'all bust my head down. Yeah, I've been in an accident. Yep. Y'all bust my head down. You throw me down.
I sure did. You wasn't listening.
Yep. No, it ain't. You ain't to throw me down like that. I'm disability.
Okay.
I got head problem. Yup. You throw me down. Yup.
Look, okay.
You throw me down.
Okay.
You throw me down. Yup. You bust my head down on the cement. Yup. You bust my head.
Alright, let me tell you what.
His forehead.
You bust my head down on the cement.
He was in front of the car when I came up. And he was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. Had him at gunpoint. And he's over here doing something like this.
You slam my head. You slam my
What
head
he was doing is
down
putting
on
this up behind the
cement.
tire. So he comes over right here. He got his hands in his pockets. I'm telling him, let me see your hands, let me see your hands, let me see your
Why you
hands.
bust my head then?
He wasn't listening. He got the, like this right here.
You grab
and we went onto the ground.
Officer Dukes claims that when Mr. Gaillard was walking from behind the white vehicle, he believed that he had a gun and repeatedly told him to drop it. Officer Dukes also alleges that once Mr. Gaillard stepped in front of the vehicle, he had his hands in his pockets and repeatedly ignored requests to show his hands. However, the body cam footage shows that Mr. Gaillard actually had his hands above his head, and that while Officer Dukes repeatedly screamed at Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, he never asked him to drop a gun or show his hands, likely because Mr. Gaillard's hands were visible throughout the encounter. An incident report filed by Corporal Brandy Smith, who was also on the scene, states that while Mr. Gaillard was walking from the passenger side of the vehicle, he appeared to have his hands in his pockets, but that once he reached the front of the vehicle, he took his hands out of his pockets. Corporal Smith's report also states that Officer Dukes was giving loud verbal commands for Mr. Gaillard to get on the ground, but makes no mention of a gun or any commands to drop a gun or show his hands. It's also important to note that when Officer Dukes was reporting what happened, he did not explain the method he used to take Mr. Gaillard down. Corporal Smith's report claimed that when Mr. Gaillard did not get completely on the ground, Officer Dukes pushed him to the ground by placing his right foot on the middle of Mr. Gaillard's back. However, the incident report filed by Sergeant Aquel Polidor states that Officer Dukes, quote, jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard on the back of his neck with his foot, although it is unclear from the body camera footage whether Officer Dukes' foot landed on Mr. Gaillard's neck or upper back.
Okay, I bet that was from Internal Affairs. Incident report. Oh, he was there. I approached. I asked dispatch to give me a description. Wait. As I approached the boulevard from Officer Dukes cut across Ellis from the boulevard with Brandy right behind him with her lights on. Brandy's lights activated my body worn camera. So lights can activate the camera? Dukes signed off that he was at the scene. Then I signed off that I was on scene. Then Brandy stated the same. Traffic, respectively. As I put the vehicle in park, I saw Dukes with his gun drawn, pointing it at Mr. Gaillard. I could not see Gaillard at the time because Brandy was vehicle blocking my view. I yelled out to myself in disbelief, "What is he doing?" I put the car in park, opened the door, and said, "Oh God." Dukes walked closer to Mr. Gaillard, yelling at him to get on the ground. Mr. Gaillard carefully got on the ground, laying flat with his hands up, and Dukes jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard on the back of the... What? Yeah. And then handcuffed Dukes. Dukes told Randy to look for a gun behind the truck. Randy said, "There is no gun, there is no gun." Then Dukes walked away from Mr. Gaillard. I just shook my head. You can just add that to the report. I just shook my head in disbelief. Like, come on. I love it. This dude is fucking awesome. Polidor, I don't even... Say his name for me, or her name. Say the name for me again, please.
Hit completely on the ground. Officer Dukes pushed him to the ground by placing his right foot on the middle of Mr. Gaillard's back. However, the incident report filed by Sergeant Aquel Polidor states that Officer Dukes, quote...
Aquel Polidor? That's not Aquel. That's Polidoria.
Quote, jumped up and stomped Mr. Gaillard on the back of his neck with his foot, although it is unclear from the body camera footage whether Officer Dukes' foot landed on Mr. Gaillard's neck or upper back. It is certain that the version of events Officer Dukes explained to his commanding officer did not align with the body camera footage or the reports filed by his colleagues.
Yeah, your head digging.
Funny thing is, though...
Right.
Line with the body camera footage or the reports filed by his colleagues.
She does not believe a single word that he's saying. Look, okay, I have had many black women teach me. My mom was a black woman. My grandma was a black woman. I've lied to them many a times. Keisha is a black woman. I lie to her too about dumb things. I get caught all the time. It's always the same look. I've lied to teachers. I've lied throughout my entire life to black women, okay? Some small, some big. And this is always the look when I get caught. It's this exact same look, okay? I can see it. And it tells me that she doesn't believe a single thing you're saying, bro. And you're going to jail.
That's what happened.
Yeah, also, if that look is given to you from a cop,
prevents officer reports filed by his colleagues.
If that look is given to you by a cop, you're also going to jail.
On the cement. Because my forehead.
Yeah, your head did hit the cement.
Right, because you bust me down on the cement.
Where's the complainant?
You bust my head down on the cement.
Right here?
You bust my head.
So there's another thing, right? There's another thing that could possibly get him off. Is if the complainant, or the person that called 911, if their life was in imminent danger and he can get her to say that, then he can possibly say his use of force was just, I mean, but even still, he's laying on the fucking ground with his head spread. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to fucking do that, but you can say, oh, I reacted that way because the life of the, you know, person that called was in danger, or at least that's what I perceived. I mean, he's looking for any out he can. There is none, but he's looking for one.
Where's the complainant?
I'm trying to get the name of the complainant. So.
Bust my head.
What are we doing? Guess Sam was going to check him out.
What are you going to arrest him for?
Who called?
I'm not sure.
Take him out of cuffs right now. I mean, because that's what we got.
You have to use your force.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Slam my head down.
Dude, I didn't know what his intention
Use
was.
your force. You need to have a look at the camera.
All right.
The officer did wrong. Slam my head down. Bust my forehead. Damn right. You gonna pay me for that shit too.
Mayor, I'm going to take that into evidence of what he had.
Why?
What?
Well, I mean, you know, that's the reasons I did what I did.
That's the reason you did what you did, huh?
Where I'm coming from.
No gun or nothing.
Because when he was behind the truck, I couldn't see what he...
Does that look like he can fit in a pocket? Because what Brandy said in her report, if you read it, she said that he came around from the passenger side with his hands in his pocket, then he removed his hands from his pocket. I don't think this could fit in a pocket, bro. I don't know.
He was doing. And I didn't know where
There ain't nothing there.
that went. If it was still in his pockets when he come around that car with his hands in his pockets.
These dogs officer. No.
On camera.
Yeah, a
All
dog
right, that's
stick.
fine.
A dog stick.
So he can come out of cuffs?
Yes. Take him out of handcuffs.
Yeah, he can come out.
Man,
Oh, Lord.
You mind looking? Hi. Good, how are you? What's going on?
Officer slammed my forehead down in the cement.
Okay.
You were wrong for that.
Did you lose consciousness?
Yeah. Listen.
Can I get a card from you?
I don't have one now. We don't have
What's your
they
badge
don't
number?
give us cards.
Okay, what's your badge number?
oh, as bow, pow, bow. Like what? They don't give us cards.
1059.
Let me see if I can get my phone. Hold on.
Hold on. We
That is the look, man. That is the look of like.
Okay, what's your badge number?
1059.
That is the look. Hold on. I fucking had it perfectly a second ago.
I don't have one now. We don't have
What's your
they don't give us cards.
Okay, what's your badge number?
1059.
Oh, sorry. I had to catch it again. That is the all right, I've lied to black men as well. Okay? And like it's a little different. It's because they're like, yeah, motherfucker, I've tried the same lie as you. You can almost see the smile through the mask. Like, really, bro? She's in disbelief almost. She's like, I know for a fact that he's guilty now. It's a wrap. I know for a fact some shit happened that shouldn't have happened. But he's over here like, you motherfucker. In front of your boss, you just told him you guys don't have cards. What do you think she's reaching to pull out? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Let me see if I can get my phone.
Hold on. We have cards. Okay. Thank you.
When Mr. Julian asks Officer Dukes for a business card, Officer Dukes claims they are not issued cards by their department.
Oh
However, Sergeant Poldador immediately corrects Officer Dukes, states that they do have cards, and provides Mr. Julian with the information he requested. If it was concluded that Officer Dukes intentionally lied to Mr. Julian in an attempt to avoid accountability for his actions, it is possible that he could be convicted of 2 common law crimes under South Carolina law: obstruction of justice and official misconduct. In the 1997 case of State versus Lyles Gray, a court of appeals in South Carolina upheld convictions for both of these offenses against an officer in the Camden Police Department for her conduct during a criminal investigation. The court explained that, quote, under common law obstruction of justice, it is an offense to do any act which prevents, obstructs, impedes, or hinders the administration of justice, and that, quote, misconduct in office occurs when persons in public office fail to properly and faithfully discharge a duty imposed by law. In this situation, the court concluded that the officer obstructed justice and committed misconduct in office by failing to interview witnesses after her daughter was identified as a suspect, obtaining a false arrest warrant for another suspect, and withholding evidence. While Officer Dukes' lie about whether the department issues identification cards did not rise to the same level of misconduct, given the broad definition of both of these offenses, it is still possible that he could be convicted if charged. However, it is important to note that while some states legally require officers to provide ID to citizens upon request, South Carolina law does not place this obligation on officers. Additionally, many police departments have policies requiring that officers identify themselves, but the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety's policy is not publicly available, and it is unclear whether their policy adheres to any form of officer identification guidelines.
Yeah.
Brandon, he can get his stuff off the car.
Dukes, will you say badge number?
1059.
After Mr. Gaillard was treated by EMS, he and Mr. Julian were allowed to leave. 2 days after the incident, Officer Dukes was fired from the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety for violating the department's use.
That look was like, oh man. He's literally looking back at when he walked off the car. He's thinking, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have stomped that old black man like he was fucking, like I was in American History X. Bro, like, come on. Like,
of force policies, which, as stated before, are not publicly available. On August 25th, 2021, former Officer Dukes was charged with first-degree assault and battery, which could carry a sentence of up to 10 years in prison. As of the date of this episode, Mr. Gaillard is represented by an attorney, but he has not yet taken any legal action against Officer Dukes or the department. Overall, former Orangeburg Officer Dukes gets an F for physically assaulting Mr. Gaillard for no apparent reason, blatantly lying about the nature of the interaction in his police report, and for making a concerted effort to avoid being held accountable for his ridiculous antics. At no point during this encounter was Mr. Dukes in any danger, and it is clear that his violent actions were motivated by his ego, not officer or civilian safety. There was absolutely no legitimate excuse for shoving Mr. Gaillard's face into the pavement when it was plainly obvious that he was attempting to surrender. And this is exactly the type of conduct that has sparked nationwide unrest regarding members of law enforcement. Mr. Dukes' feeble attempts to explain his actions and manipulate the facts of the encounter only add to his incredulous and insidious behavior, and his conduct was nothing short of unacceptable. I commend the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety for immediately firing Mr. Dukes and pursuing criminal charges against him. And if there were a lower grade than an F, he certainly deserves that. Sergeant Poldador gets an A+ for remaining truthful and objective throughout the encounter, ensuring that Mr. Julian was given the necessary information to follow up on the incident, and for maintaining a calm, collected, and professional attitude throughout the interaction. Although it cannot be proven with any degree of certainty, I suspect that Sergeant Polidor was highly involved in the Orangeburg Department's decision to fire and charge Mr. Dukes, and the testimony that she offered in her incident report likely played a vital role in making certain that he was held accountable for his actions. Officers who witness acts of misconduct are often placed in a position where they must consider whether reporting that misconduct is worth the potential damage to their career that could arise from pursuing accountability for the actions of their colleagues. And it is all too common to see members of law enforcement justify the actions of their peers in any way they can to avoid facing the repercussions of speaking out against them. This notion was on full display in this very interaction when Sergeant Meyer fist-bumped Mr. Dukes for an appropriate use of force without knowing any of the details beyond what Mr. Dukes had told him. I commend...
It must really suck to get a fist bump and there's like... and the officer gets fired after the use of force. Like... That's not the fist bump you want to do. The one right before the guy gets fired.
Sergeant Polidor for having the courage and conviction to hold Mr. Dukes.
But shout out to her, bruh. Fucking black female cop has to come in, send his bitch ass to jail. I'm down. I'm very happy, personally.
Accountable for his actions, and I sincerely hope that her actions inspire other officers who witness misconduct to come forward and do the same within their departments. As for Mr. Gaillard and Mr. Julian, I cannot rightfully issue a grade to individuals whose actions were purely dictated by the conduct of the officers on the scene. Nothing the pair did was uncivil, and the two obeyed all the commands of the officers to the best of their ability without knowing the context of the encounter. It could certainly be argued that both Mr. Gaillard and Mr. Julian were both victims of police misconduct. One by way of physical violence, and the other by an attempt to avoid accountability. It should be noted that Mr. Julian made a legitimate effort to gather
there's like, what, 70 people in here now. What's up?
To file a complaint
How you doing, Ari?
I commend him for sensing that Mr. Dukes' actions were
unlawful. Thank you so much for the raid.
Oh my God. Let us know if there is an interaction
I was in the stream.
you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out my second channel.
Officer detains citizen for trespassing in his own home. Okay, this is a good one. You know when you're just at home chilling and the cops just show up, like, all right, look, you're going to jail. Some way you going to jail.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions.
Okay.
Today's episode features a highly requested video and comes to us from the City of Boulder's official website. Be sure to check out the description below for links to the unedited version. Let's dive right in.
It's Colorado, so I assume every house just has pounds and pounds of fucking weed in it.
And audit the interaction. On March 1st, 2019, Naropa University student Zaid Atkinson was picking up trash outside of his dorm building as a part of his work-study program, where he was contacted by Officer John Smiley of the Boulder Police Department in Boulder, Colorado.
I couldn't help but notice you just sitting on the patio out there. What's that? I couldn't help but notice you sitting on the patio behind the building.
No. Yeah. He did the classic white man move. Not every bearded, dreaded man is homeless. Okay, look. All right, look, this is Ariana's chat, so you guys are mostly, you guys are all pretty fucking cool from what I've seen. So I don't have to explain this to anybody in here. But for most white people out there, look, if you see a black man that is dreaded and bearded, do not automatically assume that he is homeless. See, that's what this cop is doing now. He's like, oh no, this man must be living outside. Although if you can clearly see he has nice earphones on. Look at that fucking jacket. It's a very nice jacket. He's just looking at the jacket like it must be a warm jacket. You see a dreaded, bearded man with a warm jacket, you just think he's living out in the streets? Is that what's going on here?
And there's signs for no trespassing, private property, that kind of thing. Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were doing. If you lived here or you worked here. It looks like you're working, doing something, picking stuff up. Okay, gotcha. What's the actual address then? Okay, what unit are you in?
I don't think I have to actually tell you that.
Well, I'm just checking to make sure
you
that
don't.
You have right to be.
Hey!
I told you I lived here.
Always be gaming. Welcome.
But I'm working as well.
Welcome in here.
Would that be enough for you?
Well, I gotta verify it just so I know that you do in fact live here.
What do you need from me?
If you have an ID with your address on it, that'd be great.
Believe me, man.
we've had some stuff going on in this area. I'm just doing my job, just making sure you belong here, and if you do, then great.
Okay, ID, then we're done.
Okay. Do you have anything with your address on it?
Yo, look, man. Here, why don't you follow me, and I'll just leave the building, dude.
According to the police report, this is the point in the interaction where Officer Smullyz officially detains Mr. Atkinson. Until this moment, the interaction between Officer Smullyz and Mr. Atkinson was considered consensual. It is important to note that Officer Smullyz never stated why he believed Mr. Atkinson may have been trespassing. Nowhere in his police report does Officer Smullyz relay any...
Okay, hold on, let's check out here. Let's see, at approximately 8:20 in the morning, Officer his name is Smiley. Oh, you fucking asshole. Was driving northbound on Folsom. Male party sitting alone, closed patio. He was manipulating an unknown object in his left hand. Really? I decided to get closer. He has a fucking trash scooper. He was manipulating an unknown object. I turned my vehicle. See, look, when you see that manipulating an unknown object, that's when you know it's some fuckery. It's some fuckery about. All he had was a fucking scooper. All right, I turned my vehicle, pulled into the driveway, watched the male party further. He was still seated on the bench patio with a large backpack on his back. I watched him for approximately 1 minute from my patrol car, in which he did not attempt to enter 233 Arapahoe. Huh? You Arapahoe, I Arapahoe. Let's see. The male was wearing a dark colored coat, maxed over. Beard and his hair appeared to be braided on the top. Yeah, see, again, the beard and the fucking... He's like, he had a big beard and his hair was foreign, so he must be homeless. I exited the vehicle. Like, he doesn't even realize those braids probably cost more than like a month of his salary to put on that head. As I did so, I could not see the red scarf. A red and white sign, private property. The male stood up and wandered. So I saw the sign, private property. As I approached from the north, the man began walking away from me southbound. I could see that he was holding a long metal object, which appeared to be making contact. Wait. And it appeared that he was making contact with it up and against stone benches. He was picking up trash, you fucking dick. So it sounds like he just had a metal stick and he was just smacking shit with it. Oh my god, this is okay, yeah. This dude is such a fucking asshole. I can see that he had a white plastic bucket and he attempted picking out. Okay, putting them in the bucket. I mistakenly called out my location to dispatch as 233 Folsom and activated my body camera. Sidewalk. Speak to him. The male moved his headphones so I could hear him. I informed him that I inserted him in the patio area. I was doing my job. The male advised me that he both lived and worked in the building. I asked what he was doing. He immediately turned and looked at the numbers posted on the building. Dick move. The male pointed to the numbers, read 233 Arapahoe. I thought it was unusual that the male felt the need to look at the address before reading it to me, as opposed to recalling it from memory if he did in fact live there. I inquired further, asked the male. The male responded by saying, I don't think I actually have to tell you that. I attempted to explain to him that I was only... As I spoke with him, the male did not give him any commands. My tone was casual and conversational.
Information.
So, oh man. I did not give any commands. I was very casual, conversational. Oh, it's fine. You can fucking do what you want. You know, you want some water? Like, dude, you're such a fucking asshole. You had no reason to fuck with that guy. Oh, you had no reason to fuck with that guy. You know, there's been some stuff going on in the area. What stuff, bruh? Like, what's been going on? Has there been break-ins? What has there been? You don't want to say anything on camera because then, you know, then you'd have to say that in your fucking report. Well, I told him that there have been break-ins in the area, and so that's why I kind of needed to. No, there's been some stuff going on around here. What stuff? What? Oh, bruh. Okay.
which would suggest that Mr. Atkinson did not belong on the property. The independent internal review of the interaction, conducted by Special Counsel Bob Troyer and 2 Bluestone Investigative and Risk Solutions representatives, concluded that Officer Smiley based his reasonable suspicion primarily on the facts that Mr. Atkinson had no ID with his address on it, and that Mr. Atkinson turned and looked toward the address on the front of the dormitory when he told Officer Smiley his address. The report went on to note that Mr. Atkinson did not read the address, but rather he gestured toward it demonstratively, and even if he did read it, that would not have constituted reasonable suspicion when the totality of circumstances are considered.
Just chill out, man.
And isn't that a dormitory? That's not like a house, right? Like, your house, you would know the address to your house. If I was in a dormitory, I would be like, look, what is that address to that dormitory? How many times have you guys ordered some shit to a hotel and you didn't know the fucking address of the hotel? Like, come on, dude. Like, I can understand if it was like more of a permanent dwelling, right? Like if something you're paying a fucking mortgage on. But I feel like people go in and out of that spot at least yearly. So, like, that's not a very long time to fucking memorize a whole address.
Dude, this is ridiculous.
Hey, later, Scudio.
If you have something with your address on it, then that would help me.
No, I don't. How am I supposed to have something with my address on it?
A lot of people have a driver's license.
They just carry something with their address on it?
Yeah, an ID.
It's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah.
Well, it's a 29-minute video, and we're 3 minutes deep. So this is gonna get really fucking,
So, Mr. Atkinson, can I get your date of birth, please?
Why?
I just need to verify who you are, that you belong here, that you have a right to be here, okay?
Are you kidding me, man?
Can you have a seat, please?
No.
Mr. Atkinson.
No, I'm not.
290 Cook 12. Can you please have a seat?
No.
Put that down. Stop.
Literally, you're gonna have to
Mr.
stop him
Atkinson,
from working.
Right now, you're obstructing a police officer, which is a jailable offense. I'm asking you one more time to sit.
You're right. You cleaning up that trash on the side of the fucking road is obstructing the fuck out of me right now. Now you sit your ass down there and you wait till I figure out who the fuck you are, and then you can go back to doing what you were already doing. Maybe I should just leave? I don't know. Like, maybe I feel like I'm just too nice of a guy to be a cop, but I'd be like, does that say fucking, what is that? Something kitchen? All right, we're going there for lunch. That's what I would be doing. That's literally all I would be doing. I'd be like, black dude, I'm gonna go here for lunch. This kitchen place looks fire. And then I'd be fucking shitting my ass out like 3 hours later talking about, I'm never going to that random kitchen place again. There would be no issue with this black dude. He would be fucking done. I would be done. There's no 10 million fucking view video. 10 million people know my fucking name now. Like, come on. 10 million people know I'm a fucking asshole. Like, come on. Like, none of that shit would have happened. You could have had some fucking Indian, Chinese. What is that? Mexican? I don't know. You could have had some food. It could have been fun. But instead, you're just like, let me go start some shit.
Sit down.
The independent report goes on to note that Officer Smiley's additional error was his misunderstanding about what his reasonable suspicion allowed him to do. The officer continued to ask Mr. Atkinson for his date of birth at various times throughout the contact. Even if he had reasonable suspicion, Officer Smiley was not entitled to that information. Although Colorado is a stop and identify state, Colorado revised statute 6.
I am not reading all of that shit. That looks like a lot of words and a lot of small writing. And it looks like some of this shit is single spaced. Are you kidding me? Fuck out of here.
16-3-103 only grants
the reason why I'm not a lawyer or a cop. Look at all this shit. I have to remember this shit. You're telling me that my freedom is that's why I also don't do crimes. You're telling me my freedom is somewhere in here? I gotta fucking find some shit? Hell no.
officers the authority to acquire a suspect's name, address, and an explanation of their actions, not their date of birth. According to the statute, suspects only have to produce an ID if it is readily available. The independent report went on to declare that Mr. Atkinson was not committing the crime of obstructing a police officer by refusing to surrender his date of birth, and that Officer Smullyz misunderstanding of reasonable suspicion and what it allowed him to do prolonged the incident and was the cause of Mr. Atkinson's anger and frustration.
I mean, you know, like this is the best thing in the world. I think it's my favorite look. It's like the look that a cop gets when a smarter cop tells him that there's been no crime committed. You very rarely see it because you're usually on the body cam of the cop. But it's like without the hands, right? It's literally like, oh, what? No crime? Oh, I thought I could just take him to the ground with as much force as possible. Nah, bruh.
You're not gonna arrest me. You're not gonna do anything. I live here, and I didn't do anything wrong.
Last chance, sir.
What?
Have a seat.
What?
Sit down. Right now I'm detaining you and investigating you for a trespass.
Do it.
Live here, dumb.
Sit down.
Come on, bro. You about to be famous, bro. You don't even realize you're about to be famous, and they're using your shirt video to do it. There's not some bitch on the corner with a camera, bro. It's your shirt. It's you.
Have a seat, please.
You're gonna tase me outside of my residence? I hope that
Drop that. Put that down.
There's no nosy Nelly.
Put that down.
There's nobody on the camera. It's your camera, bro. That means they have to upload that shit.
290, we're on the east side of 2333 Folsom. Subject's failing to comply, not sitting down, and he has...
I know, bro. He looks fly.
Here, Officer Smullyz refers to the trash grabber in Mr. Atkinson's hand as a blunt object to the responding officers en route. This is an important detail because Officer Smullyz is the only officer on the scene, and the other officers on their way can only gauge the situation they are responding to based on the information relayed by Smullyz. By describing the trash grabber as a blunt object, Officer Smullyz is implying that Mr. Atkinson is weaponizing the grabber, given the ambiguous nature of the radio chatter and the context of his earlier calls for backup. The responding officers could easily assume that they are entering into a dangerous or violent situation, but Mr. Atkinson has shown no signs of aggression toward the officer, and the blunt object in Mr. Atkinson's hand is hardly a threat to anyone's safety.
I'm just gonna follow until my cover gets here.
Yeah, bruh. Trash man looks like he don't want no problems.
Have a seat.
Trash man is like, that's fucking competition. Take that bitch out, cop.
Sit down. Sit down.
The most pettiest trash man ever.
Do it now.
Why? Why?
I'm detaining you to investigate.
I'm detaining you.
Trespass.
I live here.
You haven't confirmed that. Sit down.
I'm a student.
Sit down and I'll confirm it.
Anywhere.
Sit down now. Sit down.
I'm not sitting down.
Then you're probably going to get tased in a second.
Why?
Because you have a weapon. Put that down.
I have a weapon?
Put it down and comply with my orders.
That's not what you're doing, officer.
Do it.
Better think, because dude, I could get lawyers, and you have a camera on you.
It's filming right now.
You're an idiot.
Have a seat, please.
I love it. Don't you love when he calls him out? He's like, you have a camera on you. Other people are going to see this. You do know what's going on, right? He's telling him, he's like, you can't just say that I did hella crazy shit. People are gonna see what you're doing, and it's fucking an asshole move. Bruh. Officer fucking dickhead.
Tase me, I'm freaking picking up trash on my property.
I need to confirm it.
Where I live.
There's a sign.
I'm not doing anything illegal, and you're not gonna fucking tase me, officer. So
Sit
how do
down.
you think about that?
Sit down.
How do you feel about that, sir?
Sit down.
How do you feel about
now.
that, sir?
Oh no, you challenged his authority, bruh. You basically just called his dick small and his mama a hoe. That's what you don't realize you just did. That's what you really don't realize you just did. In his mind, you just fucking went all out. And he's about to show you.
They're on the way.
Yeah, good. Jackass.
Sit down now.
Yeah!
I'm giving you another order to sit down.
In all seriousness, though, if this cop was like 5 more degrees of an asshole, he probably would have just drew down and fucking put a couple in him. Well, if he was in Vallejo, California, he probably would have just drew down and put a couple in him as soon as he stepped out of the vehicle, because, of course, he was holding something in his hand, which was probably an assault weapon. Anyway, I'm not going to start up more beef with Vallejo PD. But still, yeah, this motherfucker, like, just for your guys' safety, all right? Like, if the cops being an asshole, especially, fucking comply, bruh. Because that shit is rough. It's, especially if you're a person of color. 100% comply. Telling you anything else could actually put your fucking life in jeopardy. Oh, he fucking knows you didn't do anything wrong.
2333 Folsom. Subject still failing to comply. Sit down, sir.
I'm not sitting anywhere. You're not in control here. This is my property. I live here, not you.
Sit down so I can continue my investigation.
Because you just
sit down.
To tase me.
Sit down.
I'm feeling safe. No, point the camera here.
You have a dangerous object.
Honestly, if you're a cop, like, that's sort of just wandering around, you know, in like a uniform. Like, if you're in blues, you don't have the right to say an investigation. You have to be like a cop in a suit with a fucking, like, duster. And then you do investigations. I like how this bitch is. She's like, ooh, I wonder what's going on.
Object in your hand and you're failing to put it down.
Help! Call somebody. Say, hey.
Put it down. You're being detained.
Your hand is on your weapon. And you're gonna shoot me? That's what you're gonna do, officer?
290, we're still behind 2333 Folsom. Subject is failing to comply.
That's what you're gonna do, officer?
Yeah, he's
Sit
got
down, sir.
He's got backup, but he's having them come to Folsom instead of Arapahoe. Arapahoe, you Arapahoe, we Arapahoe. I don't know. That's gonna work eventually.
I asked you several times.
Use your intelligence. Are you gonna kill me?
Several times I've asked you. Yes, it is. I threatened because you're not putting that down. Yes, it is.
I'm picking up trash.
Put it down. I told you many times to put it down.
And you're holding a gun.
Put it down.
And you're holding a gun.
Sir, put it down.
And you're holding a gun. How do you feel?
Put it down,
sir. How do you feel, officer? How do you feel? You're holding a gun. How do you feel?
Sit down on the ground like I've told you many times before.
Or you're gonna shoot me? Or you're gonna shoot me, officer?
If you use that weapon against me...
It's the balls, honestly, but it's also, you can tell that this guy's never really dealt with... Like, he's never... Like, this cop is an asshole, don't get me wrong, but he's never really dealt with, like, abusive cops. There's no, like, oh, I'm gonna be walking around. As soon as you take a step the opposite way, boom, grab... through the fucking floor. What? Smack him. What? Smack him again. Get him. Knee to the fucking bitch. Get him. Get him on the fucking... Like, we just saw the last video. He fucking stepped on that old guy's head. You think that cop would have been, like... would have been cool with this black dude just wandering around with it? No. No, this cop is a dick. Don't get me wrong. He's an asshole. He's doing some shit wrong. But he's not like... You know, like... I think he can be trained up properly. Like, hey, bro, don't... You know what I'm saying? This isn't a situation where, like, he should be definitely chastised. Definitely, there needs to be some repercussions for this. But I don't think he should be fired. Because, again, I've seen cops. Like, we just saw that fucking video. Tyree Nichols. Like, come on. Like, it's... Shit can get, you know, if we're doing it... I feel like that's a fucked up scale to do, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen it go a lot worse than this. He's a dick. He could be trained up. But, like, again, I feel like this guy, I feel like even you have your hands on your gun right now? Really? Really? Is like you're saying you're getting loud to try to get other people around. Like if this cop was really about it, you wouldn't have the chance to get loud, bruh. Like if we're being honest, you know, you would already be on the ground. You would already be shot with a taser, pepper sprayed, smacked with a baton a bunch of fucking times. Like, you know what I mean? Or if it's just one dude, he probably would have just fucking shot you. Like, it's one guy. There was a bunch of them, you know, but it's only one guy, so like it's a little bit like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, bruh. Wait, what is a ziff? Hold on. It is Boulder. That's true. What is a ziff? I don't know. Is Boulder, Colorado good or bad? I just feel like all these houses are just like stacked to the brim with just fucking bud. Yes. Yes, definitely smoke a ziff. I've never heard that before, bro. That's... I just learned about Riz, too, like a couple weeks ago. Charisma. That's what it is. Riz is charisma. Oh, my God. I'm old as shit.
Then, yes, that is a consideration. All you have to do is comply right now.
Officer, you're gonna shoot me.
Just have a seat, man. All I want to do is figure this out with you.
On this guy.
Sit down. Sit down.
Yo, somebody, hey.
Right.
Somebody in 2333, get a camera on this officer.
Here's what you do. You get to about this point here.
Why? No, I'm not.
He says, I'm not. You're like, okay, you're not. Go over to the apartment building, knock on the door, get in there. Hey, I'm Officer Smiley. There's this guy out here picking up trash. Do you guys want him out here? He's supposed to be here. Oh, yeah, that's blah, blah, blah. He lives here. He's also like a work-study kind of thing where he's picking up. Oh, thank you. All right, you have a good day. And he's probably going to flip you off because you're an asshole. But guess what doesn't happen? You don't call back up. You don't fucking da-da. There's fucking not a 10 million fucking view video. We can all go home. But instead, you're like, I want this fucking guy to comply to what I say. So, like, that's why we're really here. It's your ego. And then, like, the person that needs to be having this conversation is his boss. And when he does the knocking, that needs to be, like, on his forehead. Actually, that'll probably get, like, a harassment charge or something. Anyway, that's what you fucking do. Go to the apartment building. Do you guys want him here? Oh, yeah? Okay, and then I guess you want him here. Then we're done.
On camera. Yep, I do want to talk to you. So how do you feel about that, sir? Well, why don't you tell me your name and then what? Leave here.
Hey, listen.
I'm a resident.
The first thing you need...
I'm not sitting down.
Look, I don't...
Are you kidding me?
All I want to do is figure this out with you.
Camera on this guy.
Sit down. Sit down.
Seems, I don't know. I want to say it seems
Right.
pretty simple.
2333, get a camera on this officer. He has a gun in his hand, and he's gonna shoot me. You got a camera, exactly. That's my boy Zinio right there. This
Hey,
is
Fern,
my
we're
residence.
just to the east of
You're on my
backcountry.
property. With a gun in your hand.
His homie that he gets high with got the camera out. Like, I got you, bro. Don't fucking worry. We got this shit. My boy Zinio, we can't even see that motherfucker. Oh, man, you know, this isn't coming from a place of intelligence. That's all I'm saying. This isn't coming from a place. My boy Zinio got the camera right there. Fuck you, bro. Yeah. It's like, I can't even see that motherfucker. Who the fuck are you talking about? It's like looking at him, too. I think you were smoking some serious shit, bro.
And he's gonna shoot me. You got a camera, exactly. That's my boy Zinio right there. This is my
we're just to
residence.
the east of
You're on my
backcountry.
property.
He like looks over. There's fucking nobody. My boy Zinio. Like, who the fuck is he talking about? Okay. I'm a little bit more on the cop side now. Like, he's seeing people that aren't there. Name by the name of Zinio. Like, oh, man.
With a gun in your hand.
Sit down.
Oh, that's so funny.
I hope that
Sit down.
I'm sorry. That's great.
Just sit down.
Where's your lieutenant? He has a f***ing camera on you. You're gonna go to
Sir,
jail.
sit down.
I don't see anybody there,
You're
bro.
not gonna get away with murder. You're not today.
290, it's gonna
Not
be a
today.
Arapaho.
You're not gonna get away with murder.
Sit down.
I'm not sitting down.
Look, I don't want this to go any further, but you need to comply with my orders.
I don't have a weapon.
That's a weapon.
This is a bucket.
No, that's a weapon. Right
This
there.
is a clamper for picking up garbage, sir.
Put it down. I'm telling you, I'm threatened by
It's
it.
not a weapon. You're not threatened. I'm threatened. You have a gun that kills people. How am I supposed to kill someone?
Sit down, sir.
Dude, no. Keep that.
Sit down.
He's got a gun in his
I love how he's just like he's a little bit talking to the cop. He's like, "Hey, Doc, keep that. Hey, hold on a second. Keep that." Like, bruh, like, who are you? Like, I don't see Zinni. Like, the funniest fucking part is I don't see. Like, I honestly, 100% of my heart, I believe there's a guy maybe in the window, like with a camera or something. Exactly, that's what I think. I think he's in the window. But it is so fucking funny that he's like, "Yeah, my boy Zinio's right there," and then you look over and it's just empty, nothing, and like, and he's still talking to him like, "Yeah, that's right, yeah, you see, he's fucking got a gun pointed at me, Zinio." It's like, now I'm just picturing the cop looking just like more and more scared, like, I need backup, talking to Zinio. It's like, "Yeah, see, Zinio's got a gun now." Huh? He's like, "Zinio appears to be armed." Oh, I'm sorry.
Sit down, sir.
No, keep that.
Sit down.
He's got a gun in his hand. I'm gonna
Sit
sue
down.
the shit out of you, dude. I go to university here.
Sit down. You're refusing to comply with my orders.
I'm not sitting down.
I love it.
I'm not sitting down, and you can't make me. Officer, he's got a gun.
Sit down.
The windows.
He's got a gun.
Have a seat.
He's got a gun.
Sit down.
Gun.
The first responding officer arrives on the scene and immediately draws his taser. Over the course of the next 10 minutes, a total of 9 officers arrive. They did not all arrive at the same time, and not all
9 officers arrive? Oh my god, this really turned into a shit show, bro.
all stayed until the incident's conclusion. But for most of the 13-minute period
This
from the
turned
first
into a
cover
shit
officer's
show.
arrival until the scene was cleared, there were 8 officers, including Officer Smiley, on the scene and visible to Mr. Atkinson, surrounding him on 3 sides.
Man, they had snipers set up. We can take the shot whenever you're ready. Like, come on, bro.
The independent report notes that one reason so many officers responded was because Officer Smiley told dispatch that, quote, the citizen was still not complying and had a blunt object in his hand.
What do you mean? This is my property.
290, we're still giving him verbal commands, trying to get him to comply. Sit down and drop that object. Sit down and drop it.
I'm on duty doing my work and my job, and this officer comes over here.
Drop the object.
Just relax. Are you serious? Just relax. No, Zinio, look at that. No, I'm not.
Yo,
Have a
Zinio,
seat.
look
Drop
at
it.
that.
Drop it.
He's like, "I see him, bro.
Drop
Don't even
it.
trip. I can We're closer to the windows. I
The
still don't
police
see
are telling you
anybody.
to do something. Do it.
You have a
Is Zinio up there? Is he just in the little crack up there? Just like, "Don't worry, I got you, Holmes." Just-
gun in your hand.
Yes,
I'm
I do,
picturing him
because
just
you're
like a
not
little
listening.
Mexican guy.
Gun
You
in
have
your
a
hand. I
weapon.
don't have a
Drop the weapon. Drop it.
I don't have a weapon.
Drop it now.
Focus on me. What are you doing? No, what do you mean? Focus
Drop
on
it
you. There's
now.
6 of you.
Just drop it.
Bro, there's even more. There's even
We're not
more.
going anywhere. You need to drop it. I haven't confirmed that yet. I told you I'm investigating a trespass. You didn't give me your address.
2333. I live in room 304.
That's the first time. Have a seat.
Are threatening me on my property. I live here.
Hey, listen.
I'm a resident
The first thing
of
you need
this
to drop
property.
that
I'm
item.
picking up garbage from my dorm. I go to school here.
Drop it. Just
I
drop
go to
it and
school
sit.
Here. Don't tell me what to do. You guys don't have a god right to be doing this to me.
Sit down.
I'm a
and drop
citizen
it.
of this country.
Sit down.
Uh-oh, Zinio does
I
exist.
am a student.
He's at
and all of you have weapons
Is it there just screaming shit out the window? Like, this is not helping.
drawn, and I
Sit
feel
down.
threatened.
Sit down and drop that
No!
object.
I will not sit down. I refuse to sit down until you guys put your weapons away.
All right, watch this.
Put your weapons.
Look, I understand free speech and like I understand rights and all that shit, but like at some point you gotta kind of just sit down, bro. Like it's like fucking, bro. You can only say fuck the police for so long until now you got the whole block locked down. It's like okay, now shit's getting real. All right.
Away. Right there. Can we talk? Put your gun away.
Have a seat.
Put your gun away.
Have a seat.
Put your gun away, and I will
I'm not
talk
putting
to
my
you.
gun away.
Then I'm not doing a goddamn thing.
Back up
Because you
and have
came
a
onto
seat.
my property with your weapons drawn, threatening me.
Have a seat,
at the
sir.
place that I sleep.
Back up.
How do
Why are
feel
you
about
walking
that?
towards the cop,
How
bro?
do you feel about
Back
that?
up and sit down.
You really don't think you're gonna get shot. Like that's the thing. You know you're not gonna get shot.
Or you're gonna tase me and arrest me and beat the shit out of me like every other. No, don't tell me what to do. Get off my property. Get off my property.
What? You dropped the bucket. Why just drop this thing too? And talk with your because you know as soon as you drop this, they're just gonna fucking they're gonna swarm you.
Get off my property.
Get off. Oh man.
Why should I have to? Because then we can have an adult conversation. An adult conversation now. Yeah. You want to have an adult conversation after your deputy pulled his.
He did try to have an adult conversation with you before. Like I'm just far be it from me to be on the side of the cop. Like you gave him his ID. He wanted something like he should have just went to the fucking whatever offices these guys have and tried to, you know, get the information from there. That's what I would have done. Because I don't think anybody called you. You weren't responding to a fucking trespassing call. You were just driving along and saw him and you thought he was a homeless guy. So you fucking look, it's the same, you know, I get it. White guys see, you know, dreaded, bearded black men and they're like, oh man, he must need somewhere to live. Like, I don't know why that's the fucking go-to, but you know, we're back here again.
Just talk to my partner.
I really don't think that is okay. I don't feel like having how many strangers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 officers.
There's 9 of them there, bro. There's a sniper.
Guns drawn. With guns drawn.
Of all of the officers present at any point during this interaction, Officer Smullyz was the only one to keep his firearm unholstered. Officer Smullyz was holding his handgun for 7 minutes of the 20-minute interaction. Among the other officers present, one had an orange, less than lethal beanbag shotgun slung over his shoulder for approximately 12 minutes, one had his handgun unholstered for less than 1 minute, and one had his taser unholstered for approximately 2 minutes. No other weapons of any type were unholstered. No officer pointed any weapon of any type at Mr. Atkinson at any time during the interaction. Mr. Atkinson and a Naropa University student filming the standoff on his cell phone from inside the dormitory both stated that multiple officers were pointing guns at Mr. Atkinson. According to the report, all of the video evidence, including that student's, demonstrate that this was false.
I do want to see the other footage. Oh yeah, I think we get it. Yeah, we get it. We get it towards the end. We for sure get it somewhere around here.
You're not listening.
I love how I want to see if you can see like a bong in the background.
Here we can see a responding officer opening the building door to speak to 2 residents who confirmed that Mr. Atkinson lives at the building. The officer then begins to employ de-escalation techniques in an attempt to defuse the situation.
You need to put that down. I'm not putting my gun away.
Does this guy live in here? Oh shit, he does? Oh fuck. Wait, is this the first time any cop has talked to anybody else in the building? Yeah, this is the first time. Oh, shit. God damn it, Smiley. Oh, motherfucking Smiley.
Cameras everywhere, dude. Are you gonna shoot me?
My plan
fucking
is not to
Smiley.
Paul, you said this is a weapon.
It can be used as a weapon,
Feel like
yes.
this is threatening? Yeah.
Can you put it away? Can you just drop it on the ground? I'll put my gun down.
You're on my property.
No, they have the other footage.
If you put that down, I'll put my gun away.
Why?
I told you why, because it can be used as a weapon.
Used as a weapon.
Right. There you go. That's all I need.
Put your gun away.
Yep, you got it. Okay, could you have a seat over here? Now we can talk.
Nope.
What? Okay, these nice people here told me that you are a resident.
Oh, wow.
So
What a
that's
surprise.
what we were trying to find out.
Uh-oh.
Surprise. I gave him my
Gotta get the
ID,
bucket away from him.
and he started taking down my information, telling me this, that, and the other thing. And then I walk away, and he pulls his...
I bet this fucking cop is like, I got a fucking blunt object in my ass. Like, come on, dude. That's the blunt object?
And he pulls his taser out on me.
So, Zaid, I'm listening to you, and I just appreciate it if you do so. So, Zaid, if you were willing to sit down, this would bring everything down a little bit, and we could start going down.
I do not feel comfortable sitting down around a bunch of murderers.
Okay. So, Zaid...
This guy was ready to kill me, sir.
Okay, so...
Come on, bro. This is the Boulder Police Department, bro. You can't, like, it, oh, man. It's like, do you know why the cops and, like, the asshole, like, do you know why the cops in the areas, like, they can just stomp you out? Do you know why they can just stomp you out? Like, you don't see people talking like this to those cops because they know. They're like, oh, nah, this motherfucker will put me in the fucking cast. Like, you're in fucking Boulder, bruh. Like, oh. Calling us murderers. This is like, okay, all right. All right, raise your hand if you guys murdered somebody on the line of duty. It's like maybe 1, 2 of them raise their hand. It's like, see, only fucking Shane and John are murderers, okay? We're not all murderers. And like, okay, you want to talk about when you had to murder somebody, Shane? I was overseas in Iraq, and not that duty, Shane. We don't have to talk about. Well, no, we do have to talk about that. He is a fucking murderer. It's like, oh, if we're talking about war, then another guy raises his hand. It's like, okay, now we're getting too deep into it.
So I think you can hear the fact that I'm just trying to be professional with you here.
Officer Jerry Seinfeld here really is using his cooler tactics.
I gave him my ID. He knew who I was. I said my name was Zaid Atkinson. I gave him my ID. He asked me what the address was. I said 2330.
You do look like you were going to fucking
beat myself into the building, and he refused to let me go to my house. How is that okay?
He looks like he's going to go audition for like a post-apocalyptic fucking
He came out with a shotgun.
movie of some kind. Look at the boots. What are you covering your camera for?
On my own property, I'm a threat because I'm picking up garbage.
Take a step back or two from me, okay, so that I can feel.
Why don't you get off my property?
Okay.
Why don't you get off my property?
What I'm trying to resolve.
Why don't you get off my property and stop telling me what to do at my house? How about that?
If you were willing to sit down, we could talk.
I'm not sitting down. Okay. Why don't you go home, officer? Right. And why don't you guys go find some real criminals instead of wasting my goddamn time? How about that? I fucking live here.
Bitch.
You think this is a joke? I fucking live here. You were ready to shoot me down. And you didn't know a goddamn thing. You're wasting all our fucking resources.
I didn't even point my gun at you,
wasting
sir.
all our resources. There's people out there actually committing crimes.
Like, can I
How do
tell
you
you
feel?
something? Can I tell you something?
Feel? You're ready to jump out of your skin because you know you made a dumb mistake today.
Can I tell you something?
No. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I want you to get
Why
off
don't
my
you talk
property.
to my partner?
I don't want to talk to any of you.
Right now, I need you to
boys.
sit down so we
I want you
can
guys
figure
to
it
get
out.
off my property and stop wasting my time.
That's not going to happen until I confirm who you are and what you're doing.
You already know who I am. He just confirmed who I am.
I don't have your date of birth, which is
back.
what I asked for.
It was the dumbest shit.
My ID back,
and,
please.
And when we've finished, then you can have it back.
You can go.
The 2003 11th Circuit Court case of Florida v. Diaz held that detention must be limited to satisfying the purpose for the initial intervention. The Diaz case involved an officer stopping a motor vehicle because he was unable to determine whether the tag was valid from his patrol car. Upon approaching the vehicle, the officer was able to confirm the validity of the tags in question before making contact with the driver, but the officer obtained information from the driver anyway, which ultimately led to the charge of felony driving with a suspended license. The court ultimately dismissed the charge against the driver and ruled that once the officer's initial suspicion had been satisfied by confirming the validity of the tag, the officer no longer had any reasonable grounds or legal basis for continuing the detention. The logic of the Diaz case can be applied to this interaction. Officer Smiley now knows that Mr. Atkinson is a resident of the building and is not trespassing. Officer Smiley's initial suspicion has been satisfied, and he no longer has any reasonable grounds or legal basis for continuing the detention.
Can you have a seat so we can talk a little more?
And I don't think that I have to sit. I'm not sitting. This isn't like a game.
Right now you're acting very.
We're gonna negotiate what we do here because I have my rights, and you guys came onto my property, right, with suspicion of bullshit accusations, right? I don't know what the fuck you guys are even here for. You haven't even told me what your purpose is.
You didn't give me a chance.
You haven't told me what your purpose is, sir.
I'd be happy to.
They're in the window like, oh my god, this is going way too far. Why are they still out there?
I don't
just
want
have a
to
seat.
know anymore. What I want right now is I want my identification. I'm not sitting down.
Well, here's what we can do.
That, sir. I'm not sitting
Here's
down.
what we can do. We can stand here all day.
All right. And you can waste our resources when there's people out there committing crimes, right?
Or I can get your
after, right? Criminals, right?
I can get your name, your date of birth.
You have all my
Find
stuff.
out. I don't have your date of birth. Yeah,
Why do you need my information?
I explained
it to you. Why are you coming onto my property asking me for my information? This is where I live. I don't need to give you shit. I didn't do shit. I live here.
Do we just want to stand here?
I live here. Go get go get everybody. Call everybody.
That's not how it works.
Call everybody. Then we'll have a standoff, dude. Are you kidding me? This is stupid. I live here. You came on my property and you took my identification, dude. I live here, not you.
All right, go on. Come talk to the cop and see what he's gonna tell you.
I saw him sitting here.
Yeah, you need to tell me who the you are. What's your name?
Property sign. Maybe he wasn't really doing anything. He's kind of milling about. And then come back down, sit, milling about.
He's kind of milling about. He was fucking picking up trash.
I'll come back down and sit, and then when I came to the alley, he stood up and I saw that he had that metal thing, and it looked like he was kind of banging it like against the. So I wasn't sure if he was like trying to damage something, or and then I addressed it.
This fucking cop is such a piece of shit. I changed my mind, and also this isn't the cell phone footage.
And then he proceeded to walk around here, and I saw it was like a device for picking up trash, and he was picking up trash. So I contacted him and just asked him, hey, can I let me chat with you? I'm just checking to make sure that you have a right to be here. And then he initially talks to me. I ask him why he's here, and he says he lives here and works here. And I ask him for the address, and he turns and reads it off of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't protect lives.
He gives me like some kind of school ID, but it doesn't have a date of birth, so I ask him for his date of birth.
Do you get it?
No. At that point, he refuses, and he starts walking away, picks up that metal object and the bucket and walks away from me. I just follow him at a distance until cover gets here.
Okay. So we confirmed that he lives here, right?
No.
No. Yeah.
Parker just did. He confirmed that he lives there.
According to him, he lives here. He just provided a unit number. Finally, I don't have a date of birth. I don't know who he is.
Okay. All right. So let's. You got his information in terms of his name and all that.
I just have his name.
Okay. Then give him his ID out of here. Yeah, because we already confirmed there, and this gentleman just said, yeah, he works here and lives here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like what?
After being ordered to return Mr. Atkinson's ID and vacate the premises, Officer Smiley turns off his body camera's audio to confer with his superior. The sergeant understands that no crime has been committed and the proper course of action to restore peace is to simply leave the scene. Eventually, Officer Smiley returns Mr. Atkinson's ID and the officers leave without making an arrest or acquiring any more information from Mr. Atkinson. Following this interaction, Officer Smiley resigned from his position at the Boulder Police Department under an agreement that allows him to collect $69,000 in salary. Mr. Atkinson has filed a lawsuit against the city of Boulder that is still ongoing. Overall, Officer Smiley gets an F for detaining
that's what the fuck you look like, bro.
Boulder that is still ongoing. Overall, Officer
Yeah, dude. I guess if he didn't fucking if he didn't call for 9 officers and like lie about fucking everything, I saw he had a metal object, he was banging it around. Like, come on, bro.
Smiley gets an F for detaining Mr. Atkinson without reasonable suspicion, abusing the power of reasonable suspicion, and escalating an interaction that could have been easily resolved with any number of alternative actions. Officer Smiley approached Mr. Atkinson with absolutely no evidence to support his claim that Mr. Atkinson did not belong there and essentially trampled over the Fourth Amendment to compile a pathetic excuse for reasonable suspicion. The only person who even trespassed during this interaction was Officer Smiley. His determination to acquire Mr. Atkinson's information well after he became aware that Mr. Atkinson was not trespassing is a testament to his terrible police work. If Officer Smiley worked this hard to neglect common sense and prosecute such a petty offense, then there is no telling how many innocent civilians were unjustly detained or arrested before he was finally forced to resign.
I love how the F is over his face.
Mr. Atkinson gets a C+ because although he did stand his ground and did not surrender to the intimidation of the police, he also escalated the situation by becoming irate and allowing his emotions to dictate his candor. It is extremely difficult to remain calm while being subjected to abuse from the police, and Mr. Atkinson's reaction to this interaction is somewhat justified. But there were several moments during this interaction where a calm and collected attitude could have been beneficial. Rather than becoming angry at Officer Smiley for overstepping his bounds, using logic and questioning the accuracy of the officer's actions may have proved more effective. Mr. Atkinson's case is an isolated incident where allowing anger to be the driving force of an interaction worked out in favor of the victim. But this is an extremely rare scenario, and it is unlikely that an interaction similar to this would play out favorably for most people. The responding officers of the Boulder Police Department get an A for critically assessing the situation, responsibly employing de-escalation techniques.
I don't think not a single one of these motherfuckers were around. Okay? All these guys look happy and smiling. And look, ooh, there's some brothers here too. Look at you. So happy everybody's out here. All I saw was like a bunch of like big stalky motherfuckers. That's what I saw.
And for resolving the situation without incident or harm. I commend the BPD for taking the initiative and working to resolve the situation instead of issuing more orders and forcing Mr. Atkinson to comply. The fact that the commanding officer assessed the situation and made the independent decision that Officer Smiley was wrong and ordered him to stand down and return Mr. Atkinson's ID is exemplary and extremely rare. Most law enforcement officers operate under a mob mentality and justify each other's actions regardless of the legality or moral connotation associated with the action.
Yeah,
this instance, the Boulder
It's hard to justify actions when they're that fucking bad.
PD demonstrated how a well-trained and highly disciplined law enforcement organization is supposed to conduct itself. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to cover in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.
That was fucking awesome. Well, alright guys. I will bid you guys adieu. Adieu? Adieu. Sounds better.